So today I want to go over some positions that you can practice your diaphragmatic breathing in. And so a lot of people are familiar with diaphragmatic breathing for a lot of different reasons. Just a quick review is when I teach my patients diaphragmatic breathing, we're breathing into both the belly and the chest evenly and exhaling nice and relaxed. So the position I usually teach diaphragmatic breathing in is in supine or on your back. And so you can do this with your knees bent if that's more comfortable for your low back, or your legs straight. And then, like I said, we're going to breathe into the belly and the chest. So sometimes putting one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly can help kind of feel what's happening as you inhale, breathing in through the nose or mouth nice and slow, and exhaling and relaxing everything to kind of come back to baseline. So some people will breathe more into their belly, other people will breathe more into their chest. So just noticing what your pattern is. For some people, it can be a little tricky in this position. And if that's the case, then I usually recommend elevating the feet. I use these meditation cushions to support the legs. And we're kind of bringing ourselves into this 90-degree angle in the hips, 90-degree angle in the knees. It doesn't have to be perfect. And this kind of repositions your pelvis to make it a little bit more aligned with the rib cage and can make it a little bit easier to practice the diaphragmatic breathing. If you don't have meditation cushions, you can always put your feet up on a wall or on the seat of a chair. So again, just looking for this kind of 90-degree angle roughly. If this position is easy for you, then we're going to practice on the belly. So coming down to the belly, if it's a little uncomfortable to be in this position, especially if you're on a softer surface like your bed, then you're welcome to put one or two pillows underneath the belly. Just make sure that they're under your belly, not your hips, or else that's going to kind of increase the arch in your back, which is the reason it's not comfortable usually. So I usually just have people rest their forehead on their palms. You can also turn your head to the side if that's comfortable in your neck. And then from here, again, we're just going to practice breathing into the belly, breathing into the chest, and just noticing and in this position, we're really going to notice how there's more resistance in the belly here. So making sure to breathe into the back of the ribs, the side of the ribs, to really continue to get a nice full deep breath. If that feels easy for you, then you can turn onto your side. And I like people to practice breathing on both sides because sometimes there's a difference on one side versus the other. So using your arm or a pillow or two underneath your head to support your neck. And in this position, again, we're breathing into the chest and the belly here. In this position, we get a lot more chest expansion through the top ribs as well as the front and the back of the ribs. The belly has more freedom to move compared to laying on your stomach. However, because your abdominals are a little bit more engaged in this position, because this position is less supported, there's a little bit of abdominal resistance here, right? So for some people, that can make it a little bit challenging to continue to breathe into their belly. So just noticing. And then same thing on this side. I usually recommend practicing on whichever side feels more challenging for you to control. If you feel that they're both pretty symmetrical or easy, then you can just pick whichever side is more convenient for you at that moment. And then moving on, we're going to come onto the hands and knees. So knees underneath the hips, wrists underneath the shoulders. This can be uncomfortable for some people in their wrists. So if you need to go onto a more firm surface like the ground or on your yoga mat, feel free to do that. And then here we really want to just keep a neutral spine, so not letting the belly drop. And then again, breathing into the belly and the chest here. Neck is nice and neutral. Now this time your belly is really working against gravity. So again, for some people, playing with the amount of engagement of the abdominals to allow for deep breathing but still support the spine is challenging in this position. The rib cage finally has 360 degrees of movement. And if that feels manageable for you, then we're going to come to sit. And so you can sit in a chair or on the edge of your bed. And again, you can bring your hand to your chest and your belly. So if you think about it, we're still in the same 90-degree angle position that we were in that modified supine position, that hook lying with the legs supported. Your postural muscles are more engaged here because you're sitting, but your rib cage has full expansion. You have to be a little bit more aware of your spine and your pelvic position. So obviously if you do this in a seat that has a supported back, that will be maybe a little bit easier for you. So if maybe hands and knees is easy, but then sitting is hard, supporting the seat might be a good kind of in-between step. I love people to practice this seated diaphragmatic breathing, especially if they have challenges with urinating or defecating, because it really can help you learn how to relax and use your breath to help with peeing and pooping instead of straining, which is very common for people to kind of hold their breath and push. So a lot of times, especially with my especially with my pelvic floor patients, I will combine this diaphragmatic breathing exercise with pelvic floor lengthening. So you can add that on. Sometimes I add it to the pelvic floor strengthening, especially if they're having difficulty with leaking in certain positions or with certain amounts of abdominal or core engagement. And then you're also welcome to practice this in standing. I usually don't, but usually with any exercise that I do, I encourage this type of deep diaphragmatic breathing and awareness of coordinating your breathing with your movement to help you in whatever the task of the exercise is. So go ahead and try those. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, and thanks for watching.